synthesizers, groove boxes. Visit Patchwerks in Seattle and online at patchwerks.com.
All right, you can see what's on the table. Hi there, I'm Matthew from Patchwerks, and welcome to another episode of Patchwerks Live, the synthesizer show that we put on every Friday at 3 o'clock from Seattle here at Patchwerks. Today, we're going to have a look at the Analog Four and the Analog Rytm. These are the two flagship devices from Elektron that feature all analog circuitry with some really great digital effects. Something to note about both of these machines is that they're both overbridge capable and they have individual outs. So that makes them both kind of that's why they're flagship devices, is because of those offerings. So, I love Elektron, as some of you may know if you're familiar with any of my work. And today I'm going to be playing on the Analog Four. And then we have Steven here with me. There he is. And he will be playing on the Analog Rytm. We have these synced to each other. We have a little pattern that we wrote fairly quickly that uses a lot of the features that you'll find on both of these devices to kind of like highlight what they do. And it's going to be pretty cool. So after we do a short demonstration, a little playing with the two of us at the same time, each on our respective machine, we will do a pattern from scratch together, which may sound super goofy. Who knows? You never know. When you're doing stuff like that. Also, it can be really strange to just like collaborate on the fly with another person on another device. So this should be fun to watch at the very least. What's up? Happy Friday. What's up, chat? And what's up, friend man? I like that name. It's always good to have a friend. So I'm here on the Analog Four. Let me tell you a little bit about the Analog Four. The Analog Four is a 4-voice analog synthesizer. So it's a 4-voice, 4-part synthesizer, meaning this is a multi-timbral synthesizer. Now, every single Elektron box is a multi-timbral box except for the analog heat or the analog drive, because they're not synthesizers or instruments. But every other box by Elektron is a multi-timbral instrument. What a multi-timbral instrument is an instrument that can play multiple patches with different note information or different MIDI channels at a time. So on the Analog 4, we have 4 different tracks, and I have 4 notes of polyphony at a maximum. So in fact, even with the track that I was working on here, the polyphony was cutting off some of my notes. So because I have a maximum of 4 notes, I did throw a chord down because I did want to demonstrate that it is a polyphonic synthesizer, and it would cut off some of those notes. And that's just how it works because it only has the 4 voices to work with. So the difference between like a polyphonic synth and a not polyphonic synth is we have polyphony, which means that we're going to have a separate voice for, so each voice is going to have its own signal path, meaning it's going to start with an oscillator, run into a filter, and then run into a VCA and whatever effects. Then we have a monosynth where it just has a single voice and it has that same signal path. And then we have a paraphonic synthesizer. Now, the Analog 4 is both a polyphonic and paraphonic. And what paraphonic means is that we can have multiple notes being played with an oscillator. So we can have an oscillator play a C, an E, and a G, create a C major chord that way, and then those oscillators will all get fed into the same filter and into the same VCA. So it creates a different sound because as each note is being triggered, they're running through the same time frame that the envelopes were with that single filter. So it's like all one chord note kind of. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's very obvious when you hear it. So what's so great about this is that you can switch in between using paraphonic sounds and polyphonic sounds whenever you like. And that makes it a really powerful synthesizer. You just choose a voice that you want to use. On track 4, it's set up to do chords. If I hold function and hit mix, I can go into my poly config and I can do some voice allocations. So right now I have all 4 voices allocated to this track. Although I have these other tracks that function, if I play a C, E, G, and a B there, we get our major 7 chord. I can't do that on track 1 because it's a monophonic synth track. Now, if I had those 4 notes playing and then track 1 played at the same time, it would cut off one of the 4 notes here. So I'd lose one of my notes of polyphony because like I was saying, it can only play 4 notes at a time. So you have to be creative on how you use your Analog Four and how you come up with sequences. So I have these 4-note chords playing with trig conditions on the second part. Basically what I'm saying is I have these 4-note chords playing at a time that I don't have any other steps triggering. That way they don't get cut off. And what I did is I made their envelope values fairly short so that made their envelope values very short so that they also don't get cut off in that way, so that they're just, little stabs, and then give it a bunch of delay, and those chord stabs will actually remain over the rest of those notes because they will live inside the delay rather than living on the actual sequencer itself. So we have this like housey vibe here. You can't hear any of the drums because it's all muted right now. But you can hear that we have 4 notes of polyphony happening and a bass line. So that's really great, and one of the reasons why the Analog Four is so awesome. But like I mentioned, it has individual outputs on the backside. It has external inputs, so you can process other audio into the Analog Four. It has overbridge, which allows you to have audio streaming with separate tracks directly into your DAW of choice. It's a VST. That is a free VST that comes with any overbridge-enabled device. And then it also has CV outputs, so CV and gate outputs. So the Analog Four can actually control your modular synthesizer as well, which is fantastic. So this can control any other sequencer or any other synthesizer, basically. So it has MIDI, it has polyphony, and it has CV and gate, and the Elektron sequencer. So it's actually the only one besides the Rytm, which also you can get a cable connection kit to control MIDI and CV stuff too. But it is the only box by Elektron that can control your modular synth directly from the unit. So, which is really cool because having the Elektron sequencer in your Eurorack skiff is amazing. I mean, it's my favorite sequencer. I find it to be the most intuitive sequencer. If you're unfamiliar with how the Elektron sequencer works, you literally just place down a step across your sequence. You choose how long it is by the scaling page here. You'd hold function and choose a scale, and then you just place notes down. And as the sequencer goes across, it'll hit those notes. And if you want to change a value in these notes, you just hold it down and go into your respected menus here and just turn an encoder, and it will remember those turns per step. It'll highlight it. See how it highlights right there. If you push down the encoder, that goes away. It's really fairly simple and just very intuitive once you get the hang of it. But what I really love about the Analog Four and the Analog Rytm that you can't find in any of the other Elektron boxes, including the Octatrack, even though it kind of is in the same landscape, is that on these boxes you can do this. I can place a note down and a note here. I can hold these notes down, and over here, I know it's hard for you guys to see this. I'll just tell you what it says. But right here it says trig mute, accent, note slide, and parameter slide. So I can actually just program parameter slides, which are interpolated values between one space to another, because on the Elektron sequencer, and like most tracker sequencers, what you're going to see is that every time you put in some note value, it's stepped value. So as the sequencer hits this, we're stuck with the fidelity that we have on our 64 steps of sequencing. And then as the sequencer passes over this step, it's going to send that information out to the synthesizer. Now, when you have something like a parameter slide, instead of it stepping from one value to the next value in a instant fashion, it'll actually slide from this value to this value, giving you something more along the lines of what you would expect from your DAW. So you can do some really intricate sound design or sequence design on this sequencer. You can't find that on any of the other Elektron sequencers outside of the Mark II devices. The Octatrack offers it, but not in such a simple fashion. On the Octatrack, you have to go into a menu. It can be a little difficult. I mean, everybody thinks that the Octatrack's pretty difficult. So, and I love it. Yeah, I mean, I love it to death. But I wish it did this. I wish I could just hold down a note and just hit a button, and it would just go parameter slide from here to here. So this is so cool that it does that. It also has accents and note slides so that you can do like acid bass lines and stuff. That can totally get done over here because it has note slides. It's super easy to program. Really cool. built-in keyboard, built-in transpose. So I can transpose. I just went up a fifth, up an octave, back down to our root. So tons of features, song mode, just like the song mode that you'll find in all the other Elektron boxes. It actually originated in these Mark II devices, or in the Mark I devices rather. And so it's the same function. It actually has some more features in these devices than it does in the Digi lines. So don't sleep on these guys. If you've been fascinated with the square boxes by Elektron, these big brothers and sisters here they're super amazing and really powerful. So Analog 4, dual oscillator, analog filter, effects track, which you can sequence and modulate, CV track specifically for controlling other synthesizers. So now I'm going to have Steven come on, and he's going to give you a little presentation on what the Analog Rytm is.
All right. So let me get my headphones on really quick. So, hey, I'm Steven. Thank you, Matt, for that little presentation. It's a very formal way to send them off, I feel. But anyway, yeah, the Analog Rytm, this is a device I've used personally for about a year now, and I still feel like there's tons to it that I haven't mastered. So I'm just going to kind of briefly go over what I know about this machine. And so bare bones, like the Analog Rytm is a fully analog drum machine. It's a little bit deceiving because you see 12 pads on here, which makes you think it's 12 tracks. But in reality, it's actually 8 tracks, I believe. Because if you see here, there's these little double lines that connects 2 pads together. And those means these pads are on a choke group with each other. So if like one triggers here and then this one triggers at the same time, then it will cut the other one. So that applies to all 4 of those sections there. But yeah, this is a fully analog drum machine, really powerful kick engine. So let's just listen to some of it. Got a high pass on here really quick. Let's see. So that's like solid. Their overdrive sounds great. That's actually like one of my favorite features of the Elektron boxes is just the overdrive, because specifically on here, this is also an analog overdrive. So this is clean sound, no drive. I can turn the level up a bit. So it's a very clean drum, but then the moment you dirty it up, you can bring up the decay of that too. It's huge. So let's dial that back down a little bit. And yeah, so that's like the kick engine. And you can also see that these pads are labeled like BD for bass drum, SD for snare drum, RS, rimshot, clap, and so on. So you are limited to what type of analog engines you can put on each pad. So for example, like up here you have like hi-hats and kind of more other percussive sounds, cymbals. But let's say I wanted to put a kick drum up here. That's not possible because it's just hardwired to work on those pads at the bottom. And same kind of goes for the center. Like the center is going to be your bass tom, low tom, mid tom, and high tom. And you're kind of locked into those sounds for those pads as well. But the cool thing about this is that it's not just an analog drum machine. It's also a sampler. So it's kind of like a Dig Attack Plus, the Dig Attack Super. And in this case, I'm actually not using any samples here. I'm just purely using the analog sounds. But what we can do is direct sample in. And in our case, we're actually running the Analog 4 through the audio input up here just as a pass-through. So I'm just turning on the monitor on the sampling and just leaving that and not actually sampling it. But yeah, so when it comes to performance features on the Analog Rytm, I feel like that's where this box really shines. Up here, you have like your play button. So that's just for playing your sounds back. You have a mute page. So currently everything's muted. If I unmute, they go bright green. And then you have a chromatic keyboard page. So I actually have on this track, I have a dual VCO. I'm getting sidetracked already. But that's another thing on here. There's an analog dual oscillator engine that you can use and do synth parts with it. So it's not just a drum machine. It's more akin to a full-blown groove box, really. But anyway, yeah, so I'll select this dual VCO track I got going, go over to the chromatic page, and I can play this now chromatically as a keyboard. I can go octave up, octave down with the arrow keys here. And at some point, the engine itself doesn't actually go as low as the octaves on the keyboard would go. You would actually have to go into the source page for the engine and bring the tuning down however many octaves you would need it to go. So then moving on to the next page here, this is a scene page. So there's scene and then there's a performance page. These two are very similar, but also pretty different. The scene page allows you to make instant parameter changes, like almost like a temporary presets for any parameters within any of the tracks, really, on any of these different parameter pages, like the source page, the sample page, the filter. So for example, like a use of it would be, let's say I want to have scene 1 apply a high pass on the kick. And when I do that, it will be an immediate change. But if I wanted to do like a smooth change over time, that's when you would use the performance page. So let me unmute the kick here because I have a high pass filter set up for this. Get that Analog Four out of here. So right now, scene, I have nothing set up, but I can go track, select that scene, or function, select the scene. That's how you do it. So now it pops up scene 1. So then if I go over to the filter page, which I'm already on, and hold it down, turn up the filter cutoff there, then I can, oh, that's to mute that. Move on to the next pad. So now on this pad, if I switch to it, if I tap to it, the cutoff will immediately jump up. So this is like an immediate change. But on the performance page, I have it set up to do a smooth change. So the performance page is actually really cool because you have this quick performance knob here. So if you have several performance page tracks, you can assign multiple of them to the single knob and then control them all over time. But these pads are also velocity sensitive, so I can hold this pad down, and the harder I push, the higher up that filter will open, or whatever parameter you're changing. So that's kind of, yeah. So that's like the basic of those performance pages and the scene pages. And to be totally honest, it took me a while to figure that out and like how to actually use them. Because for the most part, I use it for pretty rudimentary changes like high pass sweeps or filter sweeps in general, or like taking out like volume, turning something down, bringing it back in. But if you listen to the like the demo project on here that it ships with, they have some pretty crazy macros set up on this thing to do insane transitions. Like you can change the delay timing over time and have things like pitch up, make risers, and all sorts of crazy things. But the guy kind of goes a little bit over my head still in terms of like just thinking about all of those different parameter changes adding up to one big movement. But yeah, so that's scene and performance. And like I said, these are velocity sensitive pads, and you can turn them on to be fixed velocity or have it respond to your velocity. I like to do fixed because I feel like I mentioned this every time I'm on stream with like a drum machine. I'm not a great finger drummer, so like, you know, I can barely keep things in time, but the moment you start throwing the velocity thing in there, that's like phew, right on my head. So yeah, so then as far as sequencing on it goes, it's pretty much the same as any other Elektron sequencer. You would select the track you want by hitting the pad or holding track and selecting it. Hit record, drop them in wherever you want. You can live record by holding record and play. And that's pretty much it to the Analog Rytm. A few other cool things actually is these outputs up top. You have individual outs for every single track. So Matt did mention these devices are overbridge compatible, but if you refuse to use a computer and you don't want to have to deal with overbridge, you can just grab the individual outputs directly from the device. And the only caveat to that is it bypasses, or I believe it bypasses the effects channel because that is a master send effect. And yeah, I think that's kind of what I have to say, all I have to say about the Analog Rytm. There's a lot more to it, like trig mutes, accents, swing, and slide, just like Matt demonstrated on the Analog Four. So pretty much the same concept there. But yeah, I think we can bring Matt back on. We'll do a little jam together. Yo, so what's up, Toby?
Oh,
yeah.
We're going to improvise this.
We're getting very intimate here. We got one mic to share between the two of us.
All I need is one mic. That's what I've been saying all morning. Okay, where was my volume at? Let's see.
I turned it down. It's kind of like...
Okay. You spice some mod bang. Yeah, you do. Next week,
Best cables in the world.
Best cables in the world. We'll put this one here. Okay.
Cool. I guess let's just go right into it.
Yeah. So Steven's on Analog Rytm, so he's gonna be the backbone of the band here. So he's kind of in charge.
Just make sure I don't break my back in this one.
Try not to break your back.
Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah. Yeah, building performance macros on the spot.
I'll have to preface this that we did jam a bit before the stream, so we kind of know where to go in terms of direction.
Kind of.
But it's 50-50. I do have a master bass line I did make, so we can bring that in. That arp has me like stake facing already. It's like, ooh. You're right, it's an 808 cowbell. That's my favorite sound in the world.
Sick.
I was actually going to keep going with the different sequence. You just hit stop.
Oh, were you? Do we have another?
No, I was just going to change up the drum.
Oh, you were just going to change it up?
That was good.
Okay. I thought the song was over.
You ruined my vibe.
It did. It sounded good though. It was a good vibe.
That was fun.
We should do more of these duo jams.
We should.
It's really tight up here, just so you know.
Yeah, if only we could like zoom the camera out. We're pretty much shoulder to shoulder.
You know when you watch a TV show and they're like people are talking like this close to each other because they need to fit everybody in that one shot, but nobody actually talks that close. That's what we're doing right now. Okay, so yeah, I hope you guys liked that jam that we put on and the demonstration so far. We're gonna just switch over to pattern 2. I think it's setting program change. No, you still have yours, so you're gonna have to go to your next pattern.
I don't even have a pattern 2.
I don't either. No, there's no other pattern 2.
I see where we're going.
Yeah, we don't have anything. Let me see. Yeah, shouldn't be anything. So, let's.
That's cool.
Does sound pretty sick.
Let's make sure everything here is cleared out. Yep, I'm on a fresh pattern.
I think I'm gonna get like some Boards of Canada kind of stuff going. Is that the performance macro? Is that what's going on?
I think so. You're triggering something over here.
Yeah, my performance macro is on. There we go.
There it is.
Scottish Canada?
All right, I'm gonna dip off to the side for a second while Matt digs through some sounds here, and I'll come back and try and make some sounds of my own.
Okay. So it ships with quite a few presets. The Analog Four does. And all of these presets we're hearing played monophonically, but if I switch over to track 4, we can actually hear them in poly. Funk Squirter. Basic AF. Ooh. Well, that sounds really nice. So it's cool. Once you grab a sound, you just hit yes. I have my performance macro loaded up, but I'm going to go into the step sequencer, and this is really great. I can just hold down a step. This is something you can do in Ableton. It's one of my favorite features in Ableton. I'm a Bitwig user, but Ableton does this, and I wish that Bitwig did. And you can just put notes down on your keyboard, like hold down a chord, and then just press a button, and it just puts them into the spot that you have selected. It's the same idea right here. So I can go, and now we have this chord on the one. I can audition it by holding the step down and hitting yes. Really easy to use, and I love that. Actually want it to be a little more filtered. That's nice. Maybe over here we'll try the... We'll just kind of throw in some notes and we'll give it some like random trig conditions. Let's make this reverb like real heavy. And we'll give these some probability. Something I really love about the Elektron workflow is you can just get really creative. Just kind of randomize stuff. And here we can actually use an arpeggiator too if we want. Actually sounds pretty cool, arpeggiated. Turn on legato if we want. The thing about this chord, though, is that it is using our 4 notes, right? So I can't actually have its length be this long. I need it to keep it at 1/16, lock that in, and so we have a nice little bed now. You're welcome to come and throw some percussion down over this. It's just something really nice and pretty. We could turn the tempo up. Do whatever you like.
Oh, let's go 160. Feeling a little wild.
This is gonna sound crazy with 160.
Oh.
You might want to listen to it first.
All right, take that back. All right, let's see. Let's get this in tune. There we go.
Could do like some pseudo sidechain pumping.
Yeah, well, my kicks are on 1 and 7. If you want to figure that out over there.
Good try. That's not gonna work.
There only exists one tempo. 128. You know what? You're actually so right. 128 is the it's the only tempo out there.
It's a very Chet thing to say, isn't it?
All right, Mr. EZBOT, this is for you.
Oh. Good new sound. Alright, here we go. Oops. One in 7, you say?
Yep.
go.
So, Ybot wants to know if the Analog 4 has a scale mode.
It does, and we're in it. We're actually in C minor. So yes, it actually is I believe the first one besides the Octatrack to have a scale mode. That scale mode is only available in the arpeggiator on the Octatrack, but it does have a scale mode.
That's a good question. We were actually trying to think of something earlier. Just
the analog dorks?
Yeah, the analog dorks. That's a good one. Alright, I think I'm about to ruin your side change, so I'm going to change up the kick pattern.
Change it. Probably turn up the tempo, actually. Should we hit like 140?
Let's do it.
Go for it. Oh, yeah.
It's on here. So I'll get this first. Let's possibly get into some like juke territory here. It's kind of fun when you're designing a sound blind by muting it and trying to just see what your intuition takes you. jams do an electric boogaloo. I always forget that it's not really like semitones like you would think. Like 12 isn't actually an octave.
Yeah, you want to use the keyboard mode.
Yeah. I'm trying to transpose my entire sequence is the thing.
Right.
24. 24 is an octave. Getting a little wild here. I'm into this.
I like that. Turn off the arpeggiator. Actually, just that one. Let's get those hats back. Let's get some sub-oscillator.
So we're gonna keep going. Like, what's what are we doing here? We can keep going.
No. That was good. That was a long jam and a lot of fun. It's actually a really good time to do the duo jams.
We gotta do this more.
Yeah, we should do this more. Well, I hope you enjoyed this short presentation. Actually, not that short. It's almost an hour on the Analog Four Mark II and the Analog Rytm. Elektron's flagship devices, still their flagship devices, despite all the awesome boxes that they've been putting out. They still have features that none of the other boxes have, and we just think they're wonderful. So if you ever want to try these out, you should come on down to our showroom in Stone Way in Wallingford and try them out. We got them all set up. We got this beautiful Elektron booth. So if you're interested in synthesizers at all and drum machines, we have got the place for you. It's definitely a destination. A lot of fun, beautiful showroom.
Yeah, come in and ask for a demo too.
Yeah.
We're happy to give those out.
Yeah, we'll come on down ourselves and show these bucks to you. Cool. So in terms of like events that are coming up, there will be another Mod Bang show, which will take place at the 4Bs in Fremont, very close to Icebox. Our shows were at Icebox. We were going to be playing Project 32. We'll be playing. So Steven, I'll be playing
some very syntact heavy action from me in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing some poly-end play and possibly some Roland stuff. And then we also have DJ Weak Acid playing as well, and then DN Crystal to cap it off. So it's going to be a really good time. 4 hardware electronic music producers all playing 7 o'clock doors, 4Bs on the 31st.
21 up? It's a bar, right?
It is 21 and over, so unfortunately you have to be of age to come in and check out the show. But come on down to Patchwerks for our live events here for all ages every time we do that. So we'll let you know on stream whenever those are coming up. There should be a showroom session coming up.
Showroom session coming up this month. Keep an eye out for socials for that announcement.
Yeah, so live hardware electronic music right here in the Patchwerks showroom. So you can come on, check that out. They're completely free and they're all ages. So I'm Matthew from Patchwerks.
Yeah, also Steven from Patchwerks.
He's also
Steven, yeah.
And we'll see you guys next time. Stay out of the rain if you can.